We're going to have a total of tubular time looking at the Ninja Turtles video game, plus also new releases this week coming out April 23rd, 2024. And if you like the content, please like, share, and subscribe. The first game on the list is Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes. This got on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC. The rating is everyone 10 and up. Content descriptions, fantasy violence, language, suggestive themes. This is a role-playing game in which players help a hero and his companions on their quest to stop an evil empire. Players explore fantasy kingdoms, interact with characters, complete quests, engage in turn-based combat against stylized soldiers and fantasy creatures. Players can select actions from a menu and attack enemies. Brief battles are accompanied by impact sounds and screen-shaking effects. The game contains some suggestive material, female characters designed with revealing outfits. The word ass appears in-game. The next game on the list is Hammerwatch II. This comes on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X. The rating is teen. Content descriptions, blood, fantasy violence. This is a role-playing game in which players help assume the role of a hero entrusted with defeating Blight the Horrible and restoring the kingdom. From a 3/4 overhead perspective, players solve puzzles, find treasures, and battle various enemies. Players use swords, staffs, arrows, and magic to defeat hordes of enemies in a hack-and-slash combat. Battles are accompanied by cries of pain, impact sounds, and small blood splatter effect. When some enemies are attacked, green or red blood can stain the ground. Now let's take a look at Lunar Lander Beyond. This comes on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Nintendo Switch, and PC. The rating is everyone 10 and up. Content descriptions, alcoholic references, fantasy violence, language. This is an action-adventure game in which players manage explorers searching for a new home planet. Gameplay consists of guiding small spaceships around obstacles while collecting resources and rescuing survivors. Some levels contain missile shooting turrets and explosion mines. Other sequences require players to defeat large aliens that shoot small projectiles at player ships. The dialogue is briefly references drunken pilots. Swear words appear in-game. Let's battle in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade, Wrath of the Mutants. This got on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Nintendo Switch, and PC. The rating is everyone 10 and up. Content descriptions, fantasy violence. This is an action game in which players control the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles through levels of enemies. As players attempt to foil Shredder's evil plans, they use various weapons to defeat cartoony enemies and beat 'em up style fighting. Characters can also use special attacks to inflict wider damage. Some enemies can shoot stylized lasers, flames, and energy bursts at player characters. Now let's jump into Library Ruina. This comes on PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. The rating is mature. Content descriptions, blood and gore, strong language, and violence. This is a card-based strategy game in which players assume the role of a librarians battling guests to turn them into library books. Battles are turn-based and depicted in 2D environments, with players choosing cards to perform various actions against library guests. Weapon slashes and impact sounds highlight combat sequences. Blood appears on characters when hit, with blood splatter effects splashing on screen. Some story-based sequences contain dark thematic events and dramatic instances of gore. Swear words are heard in-game. Next up is SaGa Emerald Beyond. This comes on PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, and PC. The rating is teen. Content descriptions, fantasy violence, mild language, suggestive themes. This is a role-playing game in which players assume the role of heroes completing quests in fantasy worlds. Players explore new worlds, interact with characters, and engage in turn-based combat with human and fantasy enemies. Players select melee attacks, weapons, and magic from menu to defeat enemies. Battles are highlighted by impact sound, colorful light effects, and brief slow-motion effects. Some female characters designed with revealing outfits. The camera occasionally pans and focuses on their bodies. The text and dialogue also contains suggestive material. The word bastard and piss appear in-game. Now let's take a look at Stellar Blade. This comes on PlayStation 5. The rating is mature. Content descriptions, blood and gore, language, suggestive themes, and violence. This is an action-adventure RPG which players assume the role of a super soldier battling an alien force. From a third-person perspective, players explore apocalyptic environments and complete mission objectives while battling enemies in melee-style combat. Players use blades, machine guns, and laser blasters to kill enemies. Battles are fast-paced, highlighted by sword slashes, large explosions, and realistic gunfire. Blood splatter effects occur frequently as enemy creatures are slashed and dismembered. Some cutscenes and battle sequences depict close-up images of impalement, dismemberment, and decapitation. The game depicts some female characters in revealing costumes with breasts that jiggle during combat. Swear words appear in-game. It's Game, Set, Match in Top Spin 2K25. This comes on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC. The rating is everyone. This is a sports simulation game in which players compete in tennis matches. Players engage in a variety of game modes to improve their skills and abilities.
And last game on today's list with a full description is El Shadia, The Ascension of Metatron. This is on Nintendo Switch. The rating is teen. Content descriptions: animated blood, fantasy violence, mouse suggestive themes. This is an action-adventure game in which players control Enoch, a man who must prevent fallen angels from destroying mankind. Players punch, kick, and use magic swords to defeat a variety of fantasy creatures and human-like enemies. Some sequences allow players to engage in melee-style attacks. Battles are highlighted by grunts, cries of pain, and clanging sound effects. Defeated enemies disappear in brief puffs of smoke or bursts of light. In one sequence, 2 boar-like creatures are depicted with masks and emit red, steaming liquid from their eyes. The dialogue sometimes contains suggestive material. And the rest of the games on today's list are also coming out, but no information was available. Please follow Parents Guide to Games on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok, and email any questions at parentsg2g@gmail.com. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.